If you are looking for a fun summer project that you can do that is super quick and easy, you are in the right place. We are currently in day 8 of our 10 days of summer sublimation projects. And today we are just going to jump right on in to our 8th project. But if you need a little more guidance and are maybe new to sublimation, go ahead and make sure you watch days 1 and 2 because we walk a lot more in detail through the whole process of how to set up a design, where to find your designs, and how to print them to get the best coloring. And that might be a little more helpful for you if you are new to sublimation. But we are just going to jump right on in to our project for today, which is this Sublimation wind spinner. Now I picked this up at, I believe, is this Hobby Lobby? This is from Hobby Lobby. It was $4.99, and what I love about these is you can get so creative and customizable with these, and they are double-sided because obviously when it's spinning in the wind, you want to be able to see your design all the way around. So we are going to flip this over and look at the instructions on the back to see what we need to do to get ready. And I already have my designs printed and all ready to go. But as you can see, it says here the temperature is set to 392. So I have my heat press here set for that. And the time is 190 seconds. And that is because it is the type of hard material. Usually your things like ceramic mugs and tumblers and things like that of the harder surface will take a lot longer to press, and then it needs medium pressure. So I'm gonna press this down. That's pretty good. I think it's maybe a little too firm. But now we are gonna take this apart and look at the design and get it all set up so that when this is up to temperature, we can go right on into pressing our project. And there's some metal. There's a hook in the back here that we are going to take out and put aside. Now, like most things that are of the metal or ceramic or the acrylic texture, it will have this plastic film on that you do need to remove. Make sure you get all of it as we're just kind of working our way around, and make sure you remove it from both sides. Side doesn't, we'll have to see if we can figure out where the beginning is on that one. I love all the different options you have with sublimation. It is so much fun. There's so many things out there that you can do with sublimation. If you are new to this channel, hello, welcome. Make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss when days 9 and 10 come out, but also I'm going to be doing a sublimation series for back to school, and that I have some really fun projects picked out for. Let me go grab my weeding pen and see if I can find this piece over here. I can see these lines here. I feel like there's something here. I also don't want to hurt this. Yep, there it is. I do a lot with acrylic blanks as well, like keychains and things like that. And you always have to make sure you get both sides or you run into some issues. Okay, so we're gonna work our way around here. These I felt, this one's a little bit trickier just because there are so many of these different parts here. You want to make sure you get every single circle piece here. Not that you miss any, or you're just going to have a bunch of melted plastic everywhere, and that's no good. Okay, I think I got the outside ones. Let's go ahead and grab this middle piece. There. All right, set that down for a second. Now the design I went with for today on this project is this American Eagle flag look. I had my cousin in mind when I picked this out because he is very patriotic. He's in all the different services that you could possibly think of, from being in the Navy to being a firefighter to a policeman, all the things. So I thought he would like this, and this would look great on their front porch. Now, when you are setting these up to do your designs, they have these little pieces here where the hook is going to go. So just make sure you line those up properly with your design, because, I mean, if you do that, your eagle is going to be flying in an odd direction. So we are going to start out just by doing one side at a time. And I made this circle a little bit bigger than what it needed to be, just so I made sure all of it was going to get on here and I wasn't going to have any edges showing from the design being too small. And then I'm going to take my heat safe tape and just tape this down to hold it in place so it doesn't shift while it's printing. I'll probably do one on each side as well. Now this design I grabbed out of Creative Fabrica. I'll have everything linked down in the description box below so that you can find all of the things I'm using here today. If you're interested in checking any of that out, it will be all down there. I think that is pretty good. And now my heat press is up to temperature, so I'm going to swing this around. And I am going to lay down a piece of parchment paper. And that is because when you flip this over, all this ink from on the edges and probably the in-between parts are going to transfer onto here. And I don't want that on the actual pressing mat. So always protect your surfaces. And I have made the mistake before that I have forgotten. I don't know if you watched the day before, I believe it was yesterday, I totally forgot to put my parchment paper down. And no, I forgot to put my Teflon. One of the two, I forgot something. And thankfully it didn't transfer, but it has happened before. And then I just cover it with a Teflon sheet. I'm going to press this and hit go. And we are going to let this heat up and press this design for 190 seconds. And then we will open it up and let it sit for a minute to avoid the ghosting effect. And then we will flip it once it cools down and do the other side. Now, if you have other questions as to this process, or maybe how to use a site like Creative Fabrica or Canva, like I said, go back and watch days 1 and 2 because I go into a lot more detail there on how to do that. But otherwise, just drop any questions you have down in the comments below, and I check those often and I will answer it the best that I can. But for right now, we are just going to let this heat up, and I am going to open up my door. I'm outside in the garage, and this does give off a fume because you are heating up the ink and making it into a gas, which infuses into the product you're putting it on. And it is just a really hot, humid day here. And I was trying to avoid opening the doors and windows, but I really think I need to just go do that. So we are going to open up and make sure you always ventilate your spaces well. I always run the risk of opening this door out here and having our barn cats run in. We have a couple cats. They're super friendly, but they can be super annoying in my craft room. I do not like cat hair everywhere. And it just gets, they just jump on my tables and stuff. But I'm gonna let this finish up. I have about 1.5 minutes left, and then we'll come back and switch it out. Okay, let's remove this from the hot press. And I can already see all the ink that has gone through onto this paper. And we will take a look at that in a minute. But this, because of the material that it is going to be very hot for a very long time. I kind of want to get it off the hot press though without moving it too much. And we're going to let that sit for a few minutes just so that it can cool down, so that I can touch it. I could put on my heat safe gloves, but I like to just let this kind of cool down enough so that I can work with it. And then we will put it to the other side and press and press the back side. Now, how many of you are new to sublimation? Have you just started? Are you thinking about starting? Are you still gathering your information? Or have you been doing it for a long time and you're just looking for different ideas and suggestions? Let me know in the comments below if it's something that you've been doing for a while and what your favorite projects are to do with sublimation. And if you're brand new or thinking about it, what are some of the projects you're thinking about that you would maybe like to try? I am here to help troubleshoot and test things out so that when it comes to you guys actually doing those projects, we can maybe work through some of the issues that might come up before you actually waste material and get frustrated, because I don't mind messing up every now and then trying to figure out how to do new projects and how to get the coloring from my prints just right, which that can take a while. I wasted so many tumblers when I first started using my tumbler press. It was super frustrating. And then I realized it was not the tumbler press, it was actually my printer. My computer and my printer were not talking nicely together with each other, and my colors were not coming out. So I finally, after lots of testing, different settings and things like that, it finally works where I get the colors that I want. So if you are having issues with that, let me know and I can do a more in-depth tutorial on how to help you guys troubleshoot through the coloring, because it was super frustrating. I don't know if it's because of the ink that I chose or if it's because I have a Mac computer and it just wasn't talking with my Epson printer very well. I don't know what that was all about, but I finally figured it all out. And now we're good to go. And sublimating like crazy. Okay, so this is cooled down. And as you can see, excuse me, it is super early in the morning and I don't think my voice is ready to be up and awake yet. This is all the ink that went through, and this is why we cover our surfaces. We don't want to ruin our machines. So I will be throwing this piece away. Obviously, I don't want that to transfer onto anything else either. So I'm going to set that aside and I will get a new piece of parchment paper before we do this side. This looks like, I don't think I scratched it. You see that? I don't know what that's from. Okay, hopefully that just blends in with what's down there for that side. We are going to remove this tape. And you can see where the ink went through onto the paper is still darker here because it didn't get that full contact press. But the rest of the ink is pretty much gone. You can still see the design, but most of that ink is gone, which is what we want. And then I'm just going to remove this tape here and flip this over. Oh my goodness, that is amazing. Now I want to show you, sorry, I'm keeping the tape so I can reuse it. The coloring on here is much darker and brighter than on the paper. And that is because when you print your sublimation prints, the print itself will look a little dull and faded. But when you heat it up, you get those vibrant colors that you were going for. So don't ever be concerned if your print doesn't look like what it does on the computer, unless of course your colors are way off, like I just talked about. But they will be somewhat dull and kind of not super bright like you would maybe expect. But as you can see on here, it printed. That looks really good. And that is exactly what I was going for. So now we are going to put this down and do the other side. And again, I'm going to try to line up so that attachment piece at the top is centered so that our eagle is flying properly here. And then I'm going to take this tape one more time and just put it on here to hold it down. And I need to grab a new piece of parchment paper. You can also use butcher paper or cardstock. Sometimes when I run out of parchment paper, I have a ton of cardstock. I'll just use that. Which apparently I might have to do because this is all I have left for parchment paper. So let me grab a piece of cardstock. So I have a piece of white cardstock here. And then I'm going to put this down in the middle here. It is taped down. We'll cover it one more time with our Teflon and press this down with medium to firm pressure for 190 seconds. We're going to speed through this part and then we'll be right back to finish off this project. Okay, so I removed the spinner from the heat press and let it cool down completely. And again, as you can see, that transferred a lot of ink. And now let's remove the other part and check out the second side of this. There we go. And there is the second side. Now I can already see that one side is more of like a matte finish and the other side is more glossy. So they still look really good. I do like the matte side a little bit better. Oh, here comes a cat. But I think they both turned out really, really well. I do think that pressing the second side, some of the ink from this side transferred onto the paper it was on. Let's see, let's check that out. So you can kind of see there's a faint picture throughout this whole section here. And that did not really happen the first time, but because there was already a print on this side, it did take some of that ink. But I think overall this still looks really good. And then all we're gonna have to do, let me move some of this out of the way. Let me move this carefully. It's still very hot. Okay, so now we have our hook here. Now you can get a chain to make this obviously a lot longer, and I will have to go in the barn and look for that and see what I have. And my big fingers cannot get that open very well. And then what you have here is a metal hook. So if you have a chain and another little hook, you could put that there first. Or I'm kind of afraid it's going to scratch the top of this. We're going to just stick that in here. And now you can hang up your spinner outside, and it is made to bend like this so that when it's spinning, it has a really cool effect. So you can bend that as much as you want and go hang it up outside. I might have to go find a chain and test that out. And there is your day number 8, super simple summer sublimation project. You could do this with all different seasons and holidays. It would be super fun to switch these out all year long. Kind of like some of those little garden flags that people have in their yards that they can switch out for seasons and holidays. But a super simple project for day number 8. Day number 10, I'm really looking forward to. That is my favorite project of the summer, and I'm going to bring in my kids to help me with that one. Make sure you subscribe, hit that like button and notification bell so that you don't miss when the rest of the series come out. If you are looking for some more great ideas for sublimation, or maybe you haven't jumped into sublimation yet with printers and things like that, infusible ink sheets are a great option for projects like this as well. And I will have a video coming up next that shows you more about that.